Okay, it's around 2 minutes to time, so maybe we'll just begin by just welcoming the new people who have joined us for the very first time. If this is your first time joining our CBC teachers training, welcome. We are very glad that you're able to make it for this particular session. Today we are actually going to deal with mathematics, and we'll have our trainer take us through a number of things, important things which you had sent, some questions which you had already shared with us, and some of the areas which were problematic even as we've been going through this particular training. We also want to welcome all our colleagues, those also on Facebook. I also want to welcome my colleagues from Oxford University. People say that I don't introduce myself when I start this session, so allow me to introduce myself. My name is Daisy Rono Mwangi. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager at Oxford University Press, and my colleagues are also here with me to help us start this session. So I'll be the one moderating this particular session, but then with the help of my colleagues, we have our I'll call them the math gurus. They're also here with us together with our trainer who's a seasoned math enthusiast, or what can I say, a math guru. I think she's the guru of gurus when it comes to mathematics, especially on CBC. I can see it's 10, so we'll just dive in. So our session is going to, we're planning it for the 20th and the 21st. But when I spoke this morning to the trainer, she said it is important that we actually go through assessment and ensure that the teachers are well equipped. So we'll be requesting, if it's okay with you, if we're not able to complete everything within the next 2 days, we kindly request to allow us to do assessment on the third day, as it has been problematic even for most of you looking at the sessions that we have done. So we will request, if you are if it's okay with you, please allow us to have a third session on this if we are not able to complete the assessment bit tomorrow. So our trainer, again, she took us through the first session on grade 4 CBC, and today she's actually the one who's going to take us through mathematics. So our trainer is Catherine Kiapi. Catherine currently works with the Teacher Service Commission as the Curriculum Support Officer in Nairobi County, Kenya. She is a primary science and mathematics expert who has participated and learned from implementation of education programs such as Primer, Tusome, Pride DGM, ICT integration in education, and lesson study as a school-based teacher capacity development at Semester. She's also a NEC panelist in development of the MLA grade 3. Those are the exams which we did for grade 3, which were done last year. The assessment which was done last year for grade 3 mathematics, and she's also an NS MLA class 3 and class 7, and an MLA form 2 research assessment. She's a KICD panelist in writing competency-based curriculum, mathematics guide, mathematics design for grades 1 all the way to 6. And that's not all. Catherine has also written and presented education research papers, both locally and internationally. So she's been in the International Council of Education for Teaching. That's the ISA 2015, where she developed, did a paper on lesson study as a model for school-based teacher capacity development in Kenya. She's also done an African play. She's also been in the African Play Conference in South Africa, where she also did a paper on play-based learning in early grade mathematics. She's done brief education courses on content knowledge and pedagogy in Japan, Israel, and Malaysia. Wow. And that's not all. Catherine holds an MBA from Strategic Management from the University of Nairobi. She's also a B.Ed Chemistry from Kenyatta University, and currently she's doing her postgraduate at the University of Nottingham on international education. As we mentioned, she's the CSO Nairobi County Board. Is the CSO representative in Nairobi County Board of Teachers Capacity Development Committee, supported by Semester for strengthening STEM education. And for us, Catherine has authored our grade 1, 2, 3, and 4 books, all of which have been KICD approved. And she's also done the teacher's guides for grade 1, 2, and 3. She's also authored what you saw as we started the first Kenyan Teacher's Companion Guide by Oxford University. And this is a free document to help teachers of grade 1, 2, and 3 learn how they can use the skills that they have been taught to teach better in class. And it's a free document, so, and we'll also be sharing it with you. We hope that we'll be able to do 4, 5, and 6 in the coming future, so that then we can assist teachers of upper grades. And at this particular point, allow me to invite our trainer, Catherine, so that she can at least introduce herself and tell us more about what she does. Catherine, over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure, at least, to be in this training together with you once again. Those that were on board in the previous trainings that have taken place have also been on board. And those that have come in for the first time, welcome. I want to quote John Mason. He states that in one of his books, Believe You Can, he states that the man who thinks he knows it all has merely stopped thinking. And if you think you've arrived, you'll be left behind. And a successful man continues to look for work after he has found a job. What I mean is that learning never stops. Learning never ends. So keep on logging in and learning as we keep on improving ourselves. I'll also keep on logging in other learning availabilities and also keep improving myself. So today we'll just go through the grade 4 mathematics design, grade 4 competency-based mathematics design. We shall just look at a few things in this design. But before that, I want to respond to just one question, maybe the rest I can respond to them as the training goes on. There was a question on PPI and the teacher was asking if at all, how do they scheme the PPI or make lesson plans on the PPI, yet we do not have curriculum designs. So just like clubs and CU activities, PPI is more of school-based, in that most schools are religious sponsored, and PPI is more of faith inclination. It is talking about the doctrine and the faith according to that sponsor, the religious sponsorship of that school. So the PPI can only be handled according to your school experiences. If at all schools have challenges, like the purely public schools inclined, it depends. The school administration can be able to get the people that shall do PPI in that school under the caution and care of the sub-county director of education and their teams, so that they make sure that learners are not being waylaid as far as faith beliefs are concerned. But PPI is purely according to the sponsorship of the school. Before we start, I would wish Daisy to give us a poll on mathematics curriculum. Daisy, welcome.
Thanks, Catherine. So our first poll, I will launch the poll. So the question is, how many strands does the grade 4 mathematics design have? Our first poll, the question is, how many strands does the grade 4 mathematics design have? Okay, I can see the answers have started coming in. A number are saying 6, others 4. Wow, okay. Some do not know, which is okay. There's a number who's saying 5. Oh my goodness, this is going to look like a tie. Okay, please keep them coming. I can see your answers are coming through. Others are saying 4. Okay. Okay. I can see some are also chatting us down here.
Maybe just 10 more seconds.
10 more seconds. Okay. All right, let me end the poll at this particular point. Thanks for all who have played part.
Thank you
There.
very much, Daisy. So it has 6 strands, 4 strands, 5 strands, and I don't know is 24%. I'm glad about the 24%, that is, I don't know, and I love the spread. So let's look at our mathematics design, just a walkthrough the CBC Mathematics Design and see how many strands are there. So I'll just bring in the true mathematics design, that is the essence statement, and the general learning outcomes, of which all of you shall be able to read them, because this is what is found in your designs, and every school cannot teach without a curriculum design. So I believe every school has, and if at all your schools do not have, then make arrangements to have the curriculum designs. Do not use or rely on textbooks. The guide is the curriculum designs. So it has 5 strands: numbers, measurement, geometry, data handling, and algebra. And just as other curriculum designs, mathematics has the strand, substrand, specific learning outcomes, suggested learning experiences, and key inquiry questions. I'll not read everything, but I'll just speak little about what I've highlighted. In the lower classes, for example, now numbers has the first substrand in numbers is whole numbers, and it has 20 lessons. As I move on, you'll be able to see how many lessons are in each substrand. And as you are teaching, make sure that you are able to teach all the lessons as specified in the curriculum design. Do not rush learners. Make sure that you take the 20 lessons. I know you've already done maybe whole numbers. When we come to specific learning outcome, place value has been there from grade 1. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, learners have been doing place value of numbers, but total value is the new thing in grade 4. And reading and writing numbers, both in symbols and in words, has been there in the other classes, in the other grades, the lower grades, but ordering numbers has not been there. It is a new thing for grade 4. Factors and divisors is a very special experience that if you miss out to let the children understand the difference between factors and multiples, even and odd numbers, they will get confused in the future. So as much as you've already, I want to believe all of you have already done the substrand of whole numbers. As you go back to schools, try to revisit your practice. Ordering numbers, some substrands have to be, some learning outcomes were are split, because you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, less than 20 learning outcomes, yet you have 20 lessons. So some learning outcomes are usually split depending on what needs to be taught. For example, place value and total value cannot be taught in one lesson. So we'll have 2 different lessons. Ordering numbers from smallest to largest and largest to smallest cannot be done in the same lesson for this grade 4 learner, because it is a new experience. So it has to be done in 2 different lessons. Then Roman numbers are only going up to 10. And therefore, kindly as a teacher, make sure that learners understand factors and divisors, multiples, even and odd numbers, because as they move on in the next levels, they are confusing this and it causes them of challenges. We have the core competences, PCIs, values, links to other learning areas, and the suggested community service learning activities. I've only highlighted a few, and when these notes shall come to you, maybe you'll be able to look at that. The second is addition. Learners have been adding from grade 1, but in grade 4 is when they're adding the 4-digit numbers. Grade 3, they added up to 3-digit numbers. Grade 2, they added up to 2-digit numbers. And regrouping started in grade 2 for addition. So in grade 2, they were able to regroup. In grade 3, they have been regrouping in addition, but now in grade 4, they are doing double regrouping according to outcome B. They are doing double regrouping. So it is very important that you help them understand the double regrouping. And in grade 4, estimation of sums is something new. They have not tackled estimating sums in the lower grades. But remember, in the whole numbers strand, they have learned about rounding off. So if at all they do not know how to round off correctly, then they may not be able to estimate sums. So some substrands are very important because they'll be of great use to this learner in the next level. Remember, outcome E in whole numbers, round off numbers. So they need to really understand how to round off so that they'll end up estimating sums by rounding off. There is estimation of differences in subtraction by rounding off. There'll be estimation of products by rounding off, and estimation of quotient by rounding off when we come to division. So it is very important that they understand the rounding off. And they have been creating patterns, so that is not a new thing to them. And you know that when learners are working in pairs and groups, they develop their languages because they're able to explain to each other to bring out their ideas. The third substrand in the strand of whole numbers is subtraction. Learners have been subtracting since grade 1, but this is the first time they're subtracting 4-digit numbers. And subtraction with regrouping, addition with regrouping started in grade 2. But for regrouping in subtraction started in grade 3. So there's a possibility that some learners may be having challenges in regrouping in subtraction. Kindly support them to be able to regroup, because they will be able to apply this regrouping when they'll be doing addition and subtraction in measurement. And if at all they do not know how to regroup, they will have challenges. Please do not leave learners behind when they do not know how to regroup. Make sure that you hold their hands and they understand how to regroup. They can help each other. You can always tell other learners to help each other so that they're able to do the regrouping. I've just highlighted some of these like values, responsibility as learners undertake their tasks in groups, but you can read all the core competences and values as you move on. The next substrand, or substrand number 4, is multiplication, and it has 8 lessons. This is, learners have been multiplying numbers from grade 2. They were introduced to multiplication as repeated addition in grade 2, but they have not done any regrouping in multiplication. Regrouping in multiplication is starting in grade 4. So this is a very new skill for them. Make sure that they understand how to regroup in multiplication and estimation of products. I've talked about rounding off in the whole numbers. So everywhere we are having estimation. Estimate products by rounding off numbers to the nearest 10 in real life situations. And all these learning outcomes have real life situations because most of the questions that the learners shall have an experience with are relating to daily life experiences so that they're able to link the multiplication they're learning to what happens in the daily life, the division they're learning to what happens in the daily life, or the addition that they're learning or measurements and what is happening in the daily life. And mathematics has a lot of practicals compared to the previous mathematics that learners were going through. This is the first time learners are creating patterns in multiplications. As much as they have done multiplication is in grade 2 and grade 3, they did not create patterns. They only did patterns during whole numbers, addition, and subtraction. So this is the first time they are experiencing creating patterns using multiplication. So let them understand how to create the patterns. Expose them to activities that will help them understand how to create patterns in multiplication. Substrand number 5 in numbers is division. And division has 8 lessons. Learners have been able to carry out division all the way from grade 2. Grade 2, they did division as equal sharing and equal regrouping. Then now they were able to divide numbers. The introduction was equal sharing and equal grouping before now they divided numbers. Then in grade 3, they did division as repeated subtraction up to 5 times. And then they were able to divide numbers. So in grade 4, the new thing is division with the remainder. They have not done anything to do with the division with the remainder. So support the learners to be able to carry out division with the remainder. And outcome C is talking about use relationship between multiplication and division to work out problems in real life situations. In grade 1, learners did relationship between addition and subtraction. In grade 2, they also did the relationship between addition and subtraction. That was appearing under subtraction, where you say 3 plus 2 is equals to 5. It can also be 2 plus 3 is equals to 5. It can also be 5 take away 3 is equals to 2. It can also be 5 take away 2 is equals to 3. So the relationship was in grade 1 and grade 2. So they have learned the relationship between addition and subtraction. So they have some little idea. But this is now the first time they're getting exposed to relationship between multiplication and division, where you can say 5 times 4 is equals to 20. And also 20 divided by 5 is equals to 4. So you can create two division and 2 multiplication sentences. So let them understand how to get the relationship. And if you want to review a previous lesson, then it is grade 1 or grade 2, where they were exposed to relationship in addition and subtraction. Maybe suggested community service learning is that learners will assist in sharing out items in equal groups during social functions in the community. The sixth substrand. Numbers has 7 substrands. The sixth substrand is fractions. Learners have also been exposed to fractions in grade 2, grade 3, and now grade 4. In grade 2, they just did a half and a quarter as part of a whole. There was no group. Half and a quarter as part of a whole. When they came to grade 3, they did half, quarter, and eighth as part of a whole and as part of a group. So half, quarter, eighth as part of a whole and as part of a group, they were only exposed to 3 fractions. But now in grade 4, in these 6 lessons, they are supposed to represent outcome A, stating about representing a fraction with the denominators not exceeding 12 as part of a whole and as part of a group in real life situations. So you are now bringing them to get to now know a third, a fifth, a seventh, a ninth, an 11th, a 12th, and such like, because in grade 1 and 2, they only went up, they only did 3 fractions. So fractions is a substrand or a topic that is poorly performed even up to high school. And we are the ones that lay the foundations. If we carelessly lay the foundations, then we mess up the future learning of these children. Let the learners be able to represent this, really have the cutouts and post them on manila papers in the classroom so that they're really understanding. And for you to introduce these fractions, it's easier when you use circular paper cutouts than when you use rectangular paper cutouts. Because when you cut a rectangular paper cutout, it will end up becoming another rectangle or a square. But if it is a circular paper cutout and you divide it into 12 or you divide it into 8, then you'll be able to come up with an 8 clearly. Outcome C, where they're identifying the numerator and denominator, is a new experience to these children. And many a times, they have never known how to represent what the numerator and the denominator is, and what makes you write it as a numerator or a denominator. Why do you write a 1 as a numerator or an 8 as the denominator? So let them discuss, let them brainstorm and maybe explain to you why they think when I divided this fraction, this whole into these pieces, this is the one that the letter that shall be written on top and the letter that shall be written at the bottom, that they really understand the meaning of numerator and denominator. Then different types of fractions. I don't know why I'm not able to connect imekataa.
Can I share mine?
Let me share again.
Okay.
And see if it will come out. I think my connection had a hitch. Sorry. Thank you and welcome. The different types of fraction. Let them really do it practically. The books are guiding you on how to do it practically for them to see the different types of fractions. That is the mixed, the improper fractions, the mixed fractions, and the proper fractions. And if at all they're not able to identify the numerator and denominator for outcome C, learners will have a challenge with outcome D, which is now identifying different types of fractions. And therefore, they'll end up having a challenge now in converting improper fractions to mixed fractions, or outcome C, which is converting proper fractions, mixed fractions to improper fractions. So these outcomes, sorry, these outcomes are supporting each other. Kindly, as you're handling the learning situations in your classes, expose them to activities that shall help them be able to understand these outcomes so that you can be able to sail through comfortably in the next outcome. You are told that you need to do it using paper cutouts. So make sure that you are using the paper cutouts although they are suggested learning activity experiences, but they are very beneficial. Core competences are like critical thinking and problem solving as learners convert fractions to mixed numbers. PCI, peer education as learners help each other in group work. Safety as learners handle counters and concrete objects. I'll not be able to read this so much because of how much we need to do. The last substrand in numbers is decimals. And now this is a new substrand in grade 4. Learners have not learned about decimals in grade 1, 2, 3. It has the following specific learning outcomes. The first one, identifying a tenth and a hundredth in real life situations. It's not possible to teach a tenth and a hundredth in the same lesson. So kindly have the 10 lessons. Handle a tenth alone, handle a hundredth alone. Then represent decimals using decimal notation in given situations. What is decimal notations? Decimal notation is a fraction whose denominator is 10 or a power of 10. For example, if the fraction is 23 over 10, that is a decimal notation. If it is 23 over 100, that is a decimal notation, or 271 over 100, that is a decimal notation. So they need to represent decimals using decimal notation in given situations. So that means that there'll be a conversion from decimal notation to decimals and from decimals to decimal notations. Let them be able to understand using the activities that are provided in the books, and Let's Do Mathematics has really provided all these kinds of activities that can really help you support the learning process in your classrooms. Outcome C, identify place value of decimals up to hundredths in real life. So learners need to know that from the ones, they've been doing place value of whole numbers all the way from grade 1. But now this is a new experience. Introduce it with skill so that they're able now to identify place value of decimals, over tenths, and of hundreds. And you can use place value charts because they'll be very helpful for you as a teacher. If they do not know the place value, then they may not be able to order decimals, because outcome D is talking about order decimals up to hundreds in computation. And when you come to the learning experiences, we are ordering the decimals in ascending order and descending order. They need at least to know how to order them, ascending and descending. So if these learners do not know about the decimal notation, because decimal notation can also quickly help them be able to order their decimals. So handle this substrand with a lot of skill and commitment so that learners are able to understand so that they can use it in future, because you're not teaching them about the classroom today. We are teaching them about their future learning and their future life, 20 years from now, 10 years from now after they've left your class, or 3 years from now, they'll still want to use the decimals. Maybe before we go to the next substrand, Daisy, kindly post the next poll.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. So we'll go to our second poll. So our second poll is up. So for those on Facebook, our question is, how many substrands are in the strand on measurements? The question is, how many substrands are in the strand on measurements? And the answers are 5, 6, 7, and I'm not sure. So I'll repeat the question and also the answers. How many substrands are in the strand on measurements? So there's 5, 6, 7, and a response on I'm not sure. Okay.
30 seconds.
This is going to be very interesting, Catherine. I can see like there's a tie on almost all the responses here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll wait until we are almost there. Okay, at least I have a good number. So I will end the poll for those who are on Zoom, and we share the results. Clearly, Catherine, there's a tie.
There's a great tie. I like the polls. 5, 28%, 6 also 28%.
Yeah.
7, 19%, and I'm not sure, 26%.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You will be able to get it once we reach there. This is now what we call assessment for learning. So the next strand, I said we have 5 strands: numbers, measurement, geometry, data handling, and algebra. And I also said that numbers has 7 substrands, and we've just gone through them: whole numbers, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, and decimals. Now we are in the second substrand, and I can see you are saying it has, the second strand, it has 6, 7, or 5 substrands. You will count as we move on. The first substrand under measurement is length, and it needs to take 10 lessons. Make sure that you observe the 10 lessons. And for you also to know the best books to use, make sure that you count the number of lessons in those textbooks. Are they tallying with the curriculum design? But even if they do not tally with the curriculum design, make sure that if at all the textbook you are using does not have all the total number of lessons, go back to the curriculum design and see which other learning outcome can be split for it to give you the total number of lessons that are expected. Learners have been doing length from grade 1. Grade 1, they just compared length directly, then they conserved length and measured length using arbitrary units. But in grade 2, they were able to identify the meter as a unit of measuring length, and they were able to measure length. In grade 3, they were still using the meter to measure length and estimated length up to 20 meters. They also did the addition and subtraction on length. But now in grade 4, they are meeting the centimeter. Don't assume that they know the centimeter. Please let them do it practically. And let them either use the rulers, use measuring tape, use anything so that they are really able to see how small or how big a centimeter is, because it is the understanding that is important, not just knowing a centimeter. Then obviously they will measure length. They have been used to measuring length using the meter, so they'll be able to apply the same skill of measuring in outcome B, but now using the centimeter. Then outcome C, estimate and measure length in centimeters in real life situations, because they were able to estimate length up to 20 meters in grade 3. They will also be able now to estimate and measure, but now here is using the centimeter, which is much smaller compared to the time they were using the meter. So the orientation may be a little bit challenging. So you really need to be keen with the learners and really support them in understanding their orientation. Outcome D is very, very important. If they were not able to identify the centimeter as compared to the meter in lower grades, then they'll have a challenge in establishing the relationship. So let it be practical experience of them looking at centimeters, 1, 2, 3, until 100 of them. This is now the ones that are making a meter. Let it be practical, not writing on the blackboard and telling them, boys and girls, 100 centimeters is equals to 1 meter. Can you repeat, everybody? Say again, no. Let them understand it practical. Let them see the orientation and the difference between a centimeter and a meter. It's only when they understand. It's only when they understand that they're like now the learning out, the learning experience, the last two, the adjacent to F. Learners in pairs or groups measure length in meters and centimeters and establish the relationship between the units. So they measure a certain length with 1 meter, then they come and measure it using the centimeter, and then see how really it is different. That is the time they'll be able now to carry out outcome E, where now they're converting meters to centimeters and obvious centimeters to meters. If they do not understand the relationship in D, then conversion is challenging. So please, the lessons belong to the learners. And the new curriculum is about nurturing every learner's potential and bringing out learning experiences that shall help all learners, if not as much as many learners, to be at par with the learning experience. So try your best as the teacher using the activities in the teacher's guide, the resources that are provided, and the activities in the learner's book, and using the curriculum design. Then after that, let them work out perimeter of plain figures in different contexts. And here, then it will be easy now for them to be able to do the perimeter and then do the addition, do subtraction, do multiplication, and do division involving meters and centimeters. There'll be the conversion. At this time, they did the addition and subtraction of meters, but now here they're doing of meters and centimeters, and there'll be some conversion. So because they've already understood at outcome E, convert meters to centimeters. So once they are able to do outcome E, when they'll be doing the addition, multiplication, and division, they'll still be able to convert. So if I told you didn't let them convert in at outcome E, then you will have challenges with outcome G, H, I, and J. ICT, use of IT devices for learning and enjoyment is something that they need to do even in the daily lesson, even when they're at home. Think of activities that they can do using the IT devices. Even if they check on how to multiply or on how to convert, just give them activities that they can do using the IT devices. And the last, you'll find that every time the last outcome is appreciate use of meters and centimeters in measuring distance in real life. This one, as they're doing it practically and using questions that are bringing in practical life experience, they keep on appreciating and will use it in future. Integrity, as learners relate their estimate to actual, let me not read the, you will be able to read these others later on. Time is not on our side. I just want to read about assessment rubrics. Assessment rubrics, we have the indicator. Indicator comes from the expected learning outcome. What is it that they need to do? Estimate length in centimeters. So if at all they need to estimate length in centimeters, that is what is expected of them. Are they doing it? that is meeting expectation. Are they not able just a little? Then they're approaching expectation. Are they not able, there's too much consistencies, then that is below expectation, or are they way above, they can even do more, then that is exceeding expectation. So estimate length in centimeters. So either estimates length in centimeters accurately, inconsistently, little evidence, or accurately and with ease. Another substrand, the second substrand is area. It has 8 lessons. And this is a new substrand. The learners did not experience it in grade 1, 2, 3. So the first outcome, they just need to compare area of given surfaces. We have 8 lessons in this substrand. So do not rush the learners. So let them place surfaces one on another and compare the area. Then the second outcome is now they find area of a surface by counting unit squares. So they cover a surface with the paper cutouts or unit square cutouts. And then they're able to find the area of that surface by counting those cutouts. I said in my first training that there was a boy in class 7 one time who said that he didn't know that area meant a surface. He only knew that area was the length, the line on the length and the line on the width. Yet he would get it right, but it's only in class 7 when he understood that it is the surface itself, whatever that you are calculating. So let them understand the surface first, before now they are able to find area using rows and columns. Then mass, the next substrand. Learners have been doing mass just like length in grade 1, 2, 3, and whatever they were doing in grade 1, 2, 3 is still the same. Comparing, measuring using fixed units. In grade 3, they did measure, in grade 2 and 3, they did measuring mass using the kilogram. In grade 3, they were able to estimate up to 5 kilograms. Remember length, they were estimating up to 20 meters, but mass is up to 5 kilograms. And they were also able to add and subtract in grade 3. But now, in grade 4, it is half a kilogram and quarter kilogram. Please let it be practical. Let them make the half kilogram so that they understand what it means, the amount of weight in half kilogram. Let them also make the quarter kilogram and do the measurement of, and do the measurement of mass. These are the core competences, PCIs, links to other learning areas. Volume. Volume is a new substrand that is appearing in grade 4. There's no volume in grade 1, 2, 3. So in measurement, area and volume are new substrands. Handle them with care. And here we are just being told that outcome 1, work out volume of cubes and cuboids in real life situations. Piling of cubes, piling of cuboids, and counting the piles to determine the volume. And after some time, they'll be able to now multiply the row, the column, and the height to be able to find volume. But we are not using numbers yet, just like in the previous curriculum, they were not exposed to numbers. Capacity is a substrand that has been there all the way from grade 1. And whatever they did in length, mass, they also in capacity. In grade 2, they did capacity in liters. In grade 3, they were also still able to measure capacity in liters, estimate capacity up to 5 liters. They were also able to add and subtract in liters. But now in grade 4, they are doing half liter and quarter liter. Just the way I've talked about mass, let them make the half liter and quarter liter containers. I'm now in the learning experiences. Then let them use them the half liter and quarter liter containers to measure capacity of other containers using the activities that shall be found in the textbooks. And Let's Do Mathematics has spelled out very good activities to carry out this kind of learning. Time is the second last substrand. Time is the second last substrand in measurement. So how many have we reached now? You can count for yourself. We have length, area, mass, volume, capacity, time. Time is now the sixth substrand. Remember the question was how many substrands are found in measurement? So time being the sixth measurement, the second last, the sixth substrand, and I've said it is the second last substrand. You are now able to answer your question that how many substrands are found in measurements. So in the earlier grades, learners did time. They related time to daily activities. They were able to relate time to days of the month. They were able to read time by the hour. They were able to read time past the hour or to the hour using the clock face. They were able to estimate time in hours. They were able to add and subtract time in hours and minutes. But remember, they didn't have any conversions. They were just adding. So there's no conversion. Like Mary went to the garden at this time, and then he left at this time. So, or took this amount of time to do this. So there was no conversion. But now in grade 4, outcome C is talking about converting units of time. So this is an area that needs to be handled with a lot of care. Okay, the read time outcome A is talking about reading in AM and PM, of which they didn't do. But now outcome C, they were able to estimate time in lower grades using the hour. But now here, they're using AM and PM. But the conversion, when you come to the suggested learning experiences, they have three kinds of conversions. Convert hours to minutes, and then minutes to hours. Convert hours to days, and then days to hours. Convert days to weeks, and then weeks to days in real life situations. Remember, these conversions can really confuse the learner. So we really need to be able to support the learners, bring out activities that shall help the learners relate minutes and hours. Conversion is not at the 10, conversion is at 60 minutes. Here, conversion is not at 10 because they're used to, when it reaches 20, you carry 2 and remain with 0. So this is the first time they're converting. So kindly support them to be able to convert the days to weeks. And recording time, duration in hours and minutes is also a new thing to them. So let them go outside and do it practically. Do things to record time. Maybe the time they reached home up to the time they went to sleep, the time they took to run around the field. So let them do it practically and be able to record time. I've taken specifically on the indicators on the rubric of converting units of time because meeting expectation, the learner is able to convert units of time correctly. But now, when it is approaching expectations or below expectations, inconsistency in converting units of time, where is the problem? Is it the converting of the day, the day to weeks, or is there inconsistency in the conversion of minutes to hour, or is there consistency found in the conversion of hours to a day? So you really need to really understand where is the learner struggling and how are you able to help this child, because time is one of the learning parts of learning that has not been understood by very many people. You meet somebody on the street and they are wearing a watch, they're having a wristwatch, and you ask them, what is the time? They will go into their pockets to look for their phone in order to tell you the time. That means understanding time was a little bit challenging. So let us think of how to teach time in a way that learners are really able to understand it. Then the last substrand on in measurement or on measurement is money. Money has been given 8 lessons. They have been doing money all the way from grade 1, and they were just identifying currencies and relating them to goods and services in all the 3 grades. They were able to understand the needs and wants and spending and saving. Needs and wants and relating to goods and services was depending on the amount of money that they need to use. For example, in grade 1, maybe it's up to only 100 shillings. So they are relating to goods and services according to that 100, needs and wants according to that 100 shillings, spending and saving according to that 100 shillings. When they come to grade 3, it is up to 1,000 shillings. So they are relating according to that 1,000 shillings, but also in grade 3, the learners were able to add and subtract money up to 1,000. They were able to do shopping activities. Now in grade 4, the new thing is now the conversion of shillings into cents and cents into shillings in different contexts. So conversion, learners have never converted money. This is the first time they're converting. And in grade 4, in measurement, where we are having conversions, is at length and at money. So be careful that they're able to convert correctly at length, and they're also able to convert correctly at the money. Someone may ask, why are we still talking about cents and yet we are not using cents? Cents are still a legal tender so far, and it's not been removed officially. So we still teach it because when we are paying bills or when you're doing bank transactions, we still have the cents. So it's still a legal tender. We still have to teach it, and we still have to help learners know how to convert into shillings and cents. Then something new is outcome F, which is identifying money people pay to the county government for provision of services. This is a very key area for them to understand how we get services and how we pay for them. And at the learning experiences, and also in our Let's Do Mathematics book, there is very good information on how to help learners understand how people pay money to the county government for provision of services. So the learning experiences have highlighted the learners in pairs or groups to discuss market fee, the fee that people pay at the market, cess, the fee that people pay when they're entering a county, parking fee, business permit, as some of the money that people pay in order to receive county services. The last, I said we have 5 strands. So the last 3 strands, I'll go through them a little bit fast. I can see it's already 11 o'clock. Geometry. Learners have been doing geometry from grade 1, and it was about lines and shapes. And then position and direction in grade 3, and position and direction is the first substrand here in grade 4 also. Geometry has 3 substrands in grade 4. Position and direction, they have experienced in grade 3, where they are turning to the left or turning to the right, clockwise or anti-clockwise turns. That is what they learned. Okay, that is for grade 3. Learners are able to turn either to the left or to the right. Grade 4, it is clockwise and anti-clockwise turn, and then quarter turn, half turn, and full turn. So when you turn to the clockwise direction, do quarter, half, or full turn. We have a lot of activities that are supporting this in the Let's Do Mathematics. Then angles, a second substrand that is taking 4 lessons. So these other the previous substrand is very practical. Let them do it outside. Angles is a new substrand. So it is appearing in grade 4 for the first time. Learners are supposed to identify angles in the environment and the three and compare these angles. So they have to identify them and compare. And the angles to be identified are the right, acute, obtuse, and reflex angles. Then they compare these angles using the right angle. So let them do these things practically also. The last substrand in geometry, I said it only has 3 substrands, is now the shapes. And learners have experienced shapes from grade 1 to grade 3. In grade 1, they did the rectangle, triangle, and circle. In grade 2, they did those first 3 and added the oval and the square, just to help them not confuse, because when they do oval and circle together, they confuse. When they do rectangle and square together, they confuse. So in grade 1, they did minus the oval and the square. Then in grade 2, now they did grade 2, they did the 5 of them, and also in grade 3. So here, they need to identify the line of symmetry practically in these 2D shapes. And they will do it by folding the shapes into equal parts, 2 equal parts. So they keep on folding and see how many lines of symmetry can be found in each of the shapes. For example, a triangle, how many lines of symmetry will it have compared to maybe a square? A square may have so many, but a triangle may be having limited or almost just. So, and then outcome D. After they have found the lines of symmetry, they're now identifying properties of 2D shapes. I'm skipping the other outcomes just because they have had an experience on it. So it's not very new information, but I'm talking about the new information in this. Properties of 2D shapes practically. So let them look at the 2D shapes, the square, rectangle, and triangle, and be able to identify the properties. The last strand. So let me just go to the last strand, which is data handling. And data handling has been given 8 lessons. The substrand is data. So it just has, it's not the last strand, sorry. It is the second last strand. Data handling has 1 substrand, data, and the last strand also has only 1 substrand. So we shall go through in the next 3 minutes or in the next 2 minutes. The outcome is that learners represent data involving real life situations using frequency tables. So they just need to present data involving real life situation using frequency tables. Maybe we'll see a bit of it tomorrow. And the learning experiences are telling us about tally marks, that they can use tally marks to quickly be able to represent and identify data using frequency tables. And learners also need to discuss outcome sheets talking about identify where frequency tables are used in real life. So let them discuss themselves and say where they think these frequency tables are used in real life. And then finally, the last strand, and with 1 substrand also, is algebra. Algebra is use of the substrand of letters. It is having 6 lessons. And in this, the outcomes are learners need to represent the unknown, form algebraic expressions, and simplify algebraic expressions. So using our books, you'll be able to see lessons split into representing the unknown, forming algebraic expression, and simplifying algebraic expressions, because each book has activities that help learners do that. Mathematics curriculum design, you didn't see the suggested learning resources along with the core competences and it does not have along with the core competences, values, and PCIs, suggested community service learning, or links to other learnings. The mathematics design has suggested resources at the back. So make sure that at the back of the mathematics design, at the end, the last pages, look for the suggested resources and be able to use them. Then there's also an advice on the ICT devices that can be used: the digital clock, television, videos, camera, projector, radio, LDD, the ones that are available in the schools. Then also we have suggested non-formal activities. Check for some suggested non-formal activities that learners can do to help facilitate the learning. It is not found in the after every substrand. And I think this is the end of the mathematics design. If Daisy gives me, I know it's already past 11, but I wanted us to go through an IEP. If Daisy allows me to go through an IEP, then maybe we can give you a break of 5 minutes so that I can be able to do IEP. I don't know whether they'll accept. Speak to them. If at all they're accepting, then we do the IEP.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Teachers, over to you. A question from Catherine. Are you okay with her taking us through the IEP? Please note that this is a bit of a long session because we want to make sure that at the end of the day, you actually are well equipped to go to class. So please, I'm waiting for your responses. I can see a number saying, go ahead, IEP is very important, it's okay. Thank you, thank you. Catherine, I think we are in agreement that you can proceed. So, so should we take that 5 minute break and then we proceed,
Yeah,
or how long?
Give them 5 minutes break and give them that activity that they can do during the break.
Okay, so let me get that activity so that then everyone is able to see. Okay. Catherine, maybe as I get the document, there was a few questions.
Others are saying.
Okay, you're saying others are saying?
No break. Others are saying go on anyway. We can go on as they are looking at this and as I'm answering the questions. So you
Okay.
try to do this. This is grade 3. Let's do mathematics. The strand is geometry, and the substrand is position and direction. So this is just an activity that learners need to do. The lesson check. Lesson check was the assessment, whether they have been able to know how to turn, because it was talking about turning left or right from a point. So you can try and see if at all you can fill into this as I listen to the question.
Okay, so a teacher was asking why lessons and why have lessons changed and then the topics now and no longer substrands? I mean, they're strands and no longer topics. Let me try and see if I can get that question. Q&A.
Topic. Initially, we've been using the topic and the subtopic. But as action research continues, it's been realized that topic is a wide area or a wide range that can be handled all the way from primary to up to university. So for us, for our section, according to the level of education, we use the strand and the substrand and not necessarily the topic and the subtopic. It's just a section. For example, when you're handling numbers, you're not handling all the numbers. We're just handling a section of numbers and some information about numbers. So we just use the strand and then the substrand. When you're handling measurement, you're not handling everything about measurement in the world. We're just handling some specific information on measurement, and that is just measuring using time, using length, using capacity, using volume, and not all kinds of measurements. So that is why we are calling them the strands and then the sub of these strands.
So I heard
I hope
also,
it makes a little sense.
yes, it makes sense. I'm hoping the person who asked that question has been able to get the response for that. Maybe just one last question before I allow someone to just give us the responses on the item below. So Charity asks, can you help us understand if we should teach all the lessons in a substrand or we should distribute them in 3 terms of the year while preparing schemes of work from the curriculum design?
That one, I think I cannot really be able, okay, during the TUSOM activities, we were distributing the substrand, some of these outcomes. For example, if at all you have addition with regrouping and without regrouping, of maybe 4-digit numbers with regrouping and without regrouping, you would have maybe without regrouping in term 1, maybe now with regrouping in term 2, but for the specific experience, I cannot give a go ahead to do that because it must be information from the Ministry of Education. So I cannot say whether you split or you have it all, but just have it as it is for the time being. Maybe it will change later.
Okay, so should I give someone to respond? I can see others are requesting we can proceed to the next.
Yes. Let's just proceed.
Okay, fine.
So remove your share. I even will not, there was a poll, but I'll not do the poll because of time.
Okay.
Individualized Education Programme, IEP. So we shall just look at what is an IEP, who uses the IEP, what is the importance, and what are the components of an IEP. So it's an individualized education program. My poll question was, that is IEP important for regular teachers? But now I'll not handle the poll question, I'll go through the IEP. And it's a written plan that describes what the teacher and other professionals will do to meet special needs of a learner. So this learner may be having some special needs. Who is involved in the IEP? It can be the learner themselves, the regular teacher who teaches that learning area, that subject, or teaches that class, special education teacher who can come in maybe to help the regular teacher understand some challenges that the regular teacher may not be able to understand. Assessment teacher, if you have somebody who does assessment, that is the one that comes to assess the special needs. Other professionals such as psychologists, depending on the level of the challenge, of the learning need this learner has. You may not need all these, but depending on the challenge, the level of the challenge, then you may need some of them or a few of them. Speech therapist, if the learner has problems with speech, occupational therapist, to help them be able to, physiotherapists, social workers, and even the parents. So it depends on what kind of IEP you want to develop. It is important because it focuses on an individual learner's needs, and it allows each learner to acquire knowledge, skills, and focuses on the individual learner. Why is this learner dragging in this area? In mathematics, this specific substrand or strand in mathematics, yet is doing so well in other learning areas or in other strands. Then the components of an IEP, there are almost 5. I'll just try to go through very quickly. The first one is the present level of learner performance. How is the learner? What is their level of performance? So you need to assess to identify those skills the learner has strengths. What are the strengths of these learners? What are the weaknesses or challenges of these learners? And this assessment can be done through observation. You can give a test or an activity to be done or an interview, either oral, and then it should take place during the lesson. So you're assessing your learners as you go around the class, as you are carrying out your lessons. What are the challenges of these learners? Then the assessment may then be used in deciding what to teach and how to teach it. So the assessment design results now help you see what to do in the IEP. Another component is the long-term and short-term learning outcomes. After collecting the information on the learner's strengths and on the learner's weaknesses, for example, conversion of the learner is not able to convert time. Maybe the learner is able to convert days to weeks, yes, but the learner has the strengths may be converting time from days to weeks, but now the challenges is converting time from hours, minutes to hours, and maybe from hours to days. So you have a statement describing what is expected in the area of special learning needs. You make a statement, then it can be a long-term learning outcome, and let it state what is expected to be achieved within a specified period, for example, 1 month. You specify the period when you want this to be done to help the learner be able now to convert time from hours to days and from minutes to hours and vice versa. Then the long-term outcome is now broken down into short term. That now when will you handle maybe the hours to days and days back to hours? Then when will you handle minute to hours and then maybe hours back to minutes? Then these are competencies that should be developed to achieve the long-term learning outcome. So you split now in the short term. After you've known the challenge, now you split it. You make the long-term that the learner should be able to convert. And now what shall be done at each specific time. So another component is evaluation procedure and criteria. This one describes how progress will be assessed. Is the learner progressing positively or retarding at some level? Which part of the area are they retarding? What could be the reason? And specifies how well the learner is expected to perform. Evaluation criteria must define the standards that are to be used to assess the learner's progress or success. So you say that I'll be able to assess this way for me to really know that the learner has gotten the expected outcome, the short-term outcomes. And it is always good to evaluate progress after a specific short-term learning outcome. Another component is now the special education needs and related services. The IEP must be clear in listing special challenges the learner may be experiencing that call for an IEP. So what are these special challenges? As I've said earlier on in the conversion, then the identified challenges may be addressed by a special needs education teacher in the resource room, if at all you need the special needs teacher to handle this learner differently according to the thought processes. If the learner requires other related services in addition to the educational intervention, because this is just educational intervention, you're doing an IEP to intervene educationally. But if the learner requires other related services of those people that you've talked about, then this should be specified as to whom, when, and where this may be provided. So if at all you need a physiotherapist, then when and where, and who is this physiotherapist? If you want a counselor, someone to do guidance and counseling, then maybe psychological issues are affecting the learner. So who is this that shall do it? When shall they do it? And where shall they be able to provide the services? Then now, after you've written all that, you now come to the implementation of the strategy, all the strategies that you've written. So the IEP statement must be given the date when the program will start. When now you want to intervene, the ability for the learner to be able to do the conversion, to convert, do the conversion in. Then we'll start, when the program will start and the time duration it should take, it can be 1 year, a term, or a month, depending on the skill area and the learner's level of ability. So if it is just for remedial purposes, like now the learner not able to do the conversion, converting from months, from hours to minutes, or minutes to hours, that cannot take a year, neither can it take a term, neither can it even take a month, dependingly. But if at all it is training on special needs, other special needs, maybe the learner has other special challenges until you're involving all these other experts, maybe that is the time it can take a longer time. But if it is just for remedial purposes, it may not take too long. Then the review data should also be stated. So this is a sample IEP. You have the biodata of the learner, information about the parent, and then the IEP itself, name, date of birth, age, grade, admission number in the school, then information of the parent's name, their occupation, then their contact, area of focus, then like now area of focus is the conversion of time. Then present level of performance. So you write the strengths that the learner is able to maybe convert time from days to weeks, but is not able, now maybe the weaknesses may be the learner is not able to convert time from hours to days, or from minutes to hours. Then what are your recommendations? So you give the recommendations, and this is now an example IEP. The learning area or skill assessed is mathematics. Present level of performance, you are telling us the strengths of the learner, the weaknesses, and the initial recommendation. So the present level of performance is that the strength is that the learner can subtract where there is no regrouping. The weakness of this learner at the present level is that they are not able to subtract in questions involving regrouping. Then what is my initial recommendation? The learner should be guided further to work out subtraction with regrouping. So my recommendation here is that we need to focus on how the learner can be able to subtract with regrouping. So we do the long-term, short-term outcomes and see how to help the learner. So after establishing the present level of performance of the learner, you develop the long-term and short-term outcomes. As I'd said earlier, it describes what the learner is expected to achieve or learn by the end of the term, the 1 week, or the 3 days. And it is not only you that needs to do the IEP. You can have other learners to support that particular learner. And once they support each other, it becomes faster than when you wait for you to make time to be able to support the learner. But you should have at least, what standards am I going to assess that the learner has been able to get the expected intervention? Then you now do the implementation, having the start date, the end date, the review date, and finally give a report that the learner was able now to subtract with regrouping. And then you now conclude a final recommendation. This comes at the end of the implementation of the program. Depending on how long you had put the program, you make a conclusion and recommend. Maybe the learner can further have more practice on subtraction with regrouping or conversion of time. And I think that is the end of the IEP. Wow, I've taken you 23 more minutes, sorry, but hope
Thanks a
It's
lot,
been
Kathy.
fine. Thank you.
Yes, it was very useful for us to get that. So thanks a lot. I think because of time, we may have to, we'll take the questions that you guys have sent and Catherine can look at it tomorrow. Remember, we have requested if we can have you also on Wednesday because we want to make sure that we take you through assessment. So we'll be sending you the invite for that also so that then you can be part of the 3 sessions because we want to make sure that this training is as in-depth as possible. Thank you so much and thank you also for your time and we hope to see you tomorrow same time and have a good day. Do take care.
Thanks a lot.